I do not own the rights to this music. Hello, and welcome to Sunday School Summary with Brother Ron. Sunday School lesson for Sunday, February 23rd, 2025. Our reference material for the Sunday School Summary is based upon the International Sunday School Lesson Series as published by the Sunday School Publishing Board. We are discussing The King Forever and Ever as the title of the Winter Lesson Series, and it connects the biblical teachings of God's rule through the line of David to Jesus as the earthly manifestation of God's divine rule of his kingdom. The King Forever and Ever lesson series is categorized into 3 units or groups of lessons, and we are in Unit 3, and we are discussing life in God's kingdom. And in these lessons, Jesus discusses the nature, the obligations, and responsibility of living in this kingdom. The title of our 4th and final lesson is Don't Be a Goat. And that means that we want to be on the right side of God when he comes with the sheep and not with the goats who represent the unsaved. Matthew chapter 25 verses 34 through 35. And in these the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the beginning of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in." So we have kept the commandments, Jesus is saying, and they will be judged on the right side. The title of today's lesson from the book of Matthew, and we know that Matthew was a tax collector named Levi before he became a follower of Jesus. And Matthew's gospel is in line with the gospels of Mark and Luke as a record of Jesus' ministry in his 3.5-year ministry. And Matthew records Jesus' tour of the Galilean region on his way to Jerusalem for his final ministry. There are 3 summary lesson points for today. Here comes the judge from Matthew chapter 25 verses 31 through 33. Eternal acceptance from Matthew chapter 25 verses 34 through 40. And eternal separation from Matthew chapter 25 verses 41 through 46. Our passages for the lesson today revolve around the key words of faith, wisdom, and kingdom. And we know that faith is the complete trust, assurance, belief, or confidence in God. It is the faith of the righteous who kept his commandments and are judged righteous at the second coming in today's lesson. Wisdom is the ability to apply experience, knowledge, and understanding to produce good judgment. It is wisdom to keep God's commandments to be considered or judged righteous in today's lesson. We know that the kingdom is a place or a country where a king rules. It is the rule of God in the life of Christians as God comes back in all of his glory and sits on his throne. Here comes the judge is our first summary point from Matthew chapter 25 verses 31 through 33. And in the second coming, Jesus is going to assemble all the people together, and he will judge them according to their works. And in these passages, Jesus says that the Son of Man will return one day, and that the people will see that he is great and powerful, and he will also come with his angels, and he will sit on that great seat as a king. And he says people from all countries will come together, and he says, I will put them into two groups. And he says, I will do this in the same way that a shepherd shepherd separates the sheep and the goats. And he says that he will put the sheep on his right side, representing the saved and the righteous, and the goats are on his left side, and those represent the unsaved and the unrighteous people. So we have a choice as to which side we want to work towards being placed on. Eternal acceptance is the first summary point, and that is the result or for those who are judged on the right side. And these passages, he said that the king will say to those on his right side, he says, come here. He says, my Father has been good to you, and he has prepared a place for you in the kingdom. And he says that the kingdom has been ready since the creation of the world. And he goes on to list the reasons that they are placed on the right side of the divide. He says that he was hungry and they gave him something to eat, that he was thirsty and they gave him water to drink, that he was visiting the town and they gave him a place to stay. He says he did not have clothes and they clothed him, and that he was ill and they came and concede about him, and that he was in prison and they came to visit him. Now the people who are judged righteous are surprised and they ask, when did they do all these things? And they said, Master, when did we see that you were hungry and gave you some food? And he says, when did we see that you were thirsty and gave you water? And goes on to say that, when did we ask you into our home when you were alone? And when did we give you clothes to wear? And when did we take care of you when you were ill? And when did we come to visit you in prison? And in response, Jesus answered, or will answer, and say to them, I tell you this, you did all these things to help other people who are the least. But they were not important, but they were important to me. And when you helped them, you also helped me. So when we live out the commandments of treating our fellow brothers with addressing their basic needs and compassion, we are doing it for Jesus. And the third and final summary point is for Matthew, eternal separation, and that's from Matthew chapter 25, verses 41 through 46. And these passages, Jesus just reverses the commandments in the sense that they did not follow the commandments. And he says, then the king will say to those on his left side, go away from me. God has decided to punish you, and he has prepared a fire for you that will burn forever, and he will prepare it for Satan and his servants, and you will also go into the fire. And he goes on to repeat the commandments that they had not followed. And he says that I was hungry and you did not give me any food. I was thirsty and you did not give me water. I was in town and you did not give me a place to stay. I did not have enough clothes and you did not give me clothes. He says, I was ill and you did not take care of me, and I was in prison and you did not come to visit me. And then the people who are judged on the left will ask the question, Master, when did we see that you were hungry or that you were thirsty and we did not give you food, or do you have clothes and we did not give you clothes, or when you were ill and in prison? Go when? But when did we not help you? And he says, then those people on this king's left will go away in the place where God has banished them for punishment forever and ever. And he says, but the good people on the king's right side will live forever with God. So we have a choice to treat our fellow men and women with love and compassion, and to minister to their human needs. This is Brother Ron with the Sunday School Summary for Sunday, February 23rd, 2025. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed week, and we hope to see you next Sunday for another edition of Sunday School Summary with Brother Ron.